A few of you have asked me the same thing this week, so I wanted to answer it head on. Courtney, Etsy shut your shop down, so why are you over here still teaching people how to sell on Etsy? That's a fair question. Honestly, I'd ask it too. So let's get into it. Here's the tension, and I'm not going to pretend that it isn't real. I spent nearly 4 years building an Etsy shop from zero to nearly $1 million. And then in a single day, it was gone. Not because I did something wrong, not because my customers stopped buying, but because Etsy made a decision. And the business I had spent 4 years building disappeared. So when people see my story and then they see me teaching people how to sell on Etsy, I see why that seems contradictory. I don't think it's contradictory at all, but I owe you the reason why. So here's one distinction I want you to take away today. Etsy taught me how to sell. It never taught me how to own a business. Those are two completely different skill sets, and almost nobody separates them until it's too late. Etsy is genuinely a great place to learn how to sell, how to photograph a product, how to write a listing that actually converts, how to price something so that you make money, how to get found in search, how to read your own numbers. I built real skills there, skills that still work on Etsy or anywhere else. But none of that is the same as owning your business, owning your audience, and owning your traffic, owning the platform your business actually operates on, owning your operations, instead of every single system living inside someone else's app. I had that first part dialed in. The second part, not so much. And that's the exact part that cost me everything in one day with zero warning. So when I teach Etsy skills, I'm not telling you that Etsy is safe. I'm telling you to use it as the launch pad that it actually is. Learn everything you can there. Just don't build your entire business on land you don't own. So why do I think Etsy is still the best place to start? I want to actually make a case for Etsy here because I don't want you walking away from this thinking that I regret starting on Etsy, because I don't. If I opened a brand new business today, starting from absolute zero, I would still want to start on Etsy. And here's why. Etsy gives you buyer intent for free, and no other platform hands that to a brand new seller. People land on Etsy already looking to buy something handmade or unique. You're not out there trying to convince a cold stranger scrolling social media that he should buy your product. That's the hardest and most expensive part of any business, and Etsy hands that to you on day one. Etsy lends you trust. When someone hands their credit card number to a shop with just 3 sales, they're not trusting you yet. They're trusting Etsy's buyer protection plan, Etsy's reviews, and Etsy's reputation. If you had to earn that from scratch on your own website with no reviews, no reputation, and no name recognition, most sellers will really struggle to even get their first sale. Etsy lends you that credibility while you build your own. And it's the fastest, cheapest way to find out if your product will actually sell. You don't need a website or Shopify or paid ads just to test an idea. You list it, and within days, buyers will tell you the truth with their wallets. That feedback could take months and thousands in ad spend to get from your own site. So I don't think Etsy is bad. Etsy is one of the best on-ramps for a new seller, and I mean that. The problem was never that I started there. The problem was that I stopped there. I let the on-ramp become the whole road. Here's the part that really messed with me after it happened. My shop looked completely healthy until it wasn't. Good reviews, strong sales, everything was by the book. And none of it mattered because healthy sales and business ownership are two very different things. I should have been asking myself a harder question. Not, is my shop doing well? But if Etsy disappeared tomorrow, how much of my business would still exist? Sit with that with your own shop for a minute while I go through these. Do you actually have your customers' emails, or does Etsy have them? Where does your traffic come from? Is any of it yours, or is it all in Etsy's search? Do you have anywhere else to sell if this platform is gone tomorrow? Do your systems, your fulfillment, your processes, your records live anywhere else other than inside this app? Most sellers, if they're really honest with themselves, score really low on that. Not because they're doing anything wrong, but because no one ever told them this is a separate thing you should build. And I want to be really clear. This isn't hypothetical for me. Almost $1 million in sales, 4 years of hard work, genuinely good reviews, a genuinely healthy shop by every metric Etsy has ever showed me. And I woke up one morning and it was just gone. No slow decline, no warning I could act on, gone. It wasn't a me problem, it was a dependency problem. And I didn't know I had one until it was already too late to fix. That's the whole reason I'm sitting here talking to you about it instead of quietly pretending like it never happened. If I could go back 4 years ago and talk to myself on the day that I opened my shop, I wouldn't tell her to sell less, work less, or be more careful on her listings. I'd tell her to build 2 businesses at the same time, not one. Business 1 is the Etsy shop. Learn the platform, get really good at selling, use it exactly the way it's built to be used. Business 2 runs in parallel from day 1, and it's everything that you actually own. Your list, your traffic, your own place to sell, your systems. Not instead of Etsy, right alongside it. I didn't think I had time for 2 businesses. I was too busy running business 1, and that felt completely reasonable every single day, right up until it wasn't optional anymore. That's the only real regret in this whole story. Not that I sold on Etsy, that I let Etsy be my entire business. So here's what I want you to do. Not eventually, right now, today. Take 5 minutes and actually answer those 4 questions for your shop honestly. Not should I be worried as some vague feeling. Actually write down where you stand on each one. And again, this is not about leaving Etsy. I am not telling you to quit your Etsy shop. I'm telling you to stop being one policy change away from losing everything. You also don't need to fix all 4 at once. That's exactly how people freeze and then do nothing. Just look at your 4 answers and find the weakest one. No email list that isn't trapped in Etsy? Start there. Never sold anywhere else? Start there. Pick the gap that scares you the most when you're really honest with yourself. That's almost always the right one to pick first. If you want to walk through this properly, I put together the Build Beyond Etsy checklist. It's completely free. The link is below. It shows you exactly where your business is dependent on Etsy and where it isn't, so you stop guessing. And I still owe you that SEO video I promised. It's coming next because Etsy skills still matter. And I meant it when I said I would still teach them. This conversation just had to come first. I'll see you in the next one.